morning and welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea. Today I want to share with you a deck that arrived here about a week and a half ago. Now initially I was going to record a walkthrough from the get-go, but something came over me and I decided no, I want to try and use this first and give a review as opposed to just a walkthrough. Now this is not a tarot deck, albeit the creator has created a tarot deck and other decks as well, which I'm actually going to be looking into getting, because I have to say I have the Shadowlands Tarot by Bodirsky, which I have done a walkthrough here in the past, and which I actually adore. Now Simon from the Hermit's Cave, you will recall, did a walkthrough of Between the Worlds Oracle deck. It's shadow casting with bone and curio oracle cards. I saw that on Simon's channel and I thought, do you know, I actually like them. I like the look of them. They remind me, probably because of the colour of the background and the fact that it just has the one item on, a little bit along the lines of Mildred Payne's Secret Pocket Oracle. But this is different again, because this we don't have the Deviant Moon artwork. We have items here, and they're items that would be used in bone casting and charm casting, a curio casting. I'm going to read what it says on the back of the book, of the box. I'm going to go through a little bit of the book with you, and then I'm going to tell you what I think of the cards. So like I say, this is a deck created by Bodirsky, Between the Worlds, shadow casting with bone and curio oracle cards. On the back it says, Between the Worlds is a unique 46 symbol oracle deck created by the author from a mix of her two favourite divination systems, cartomancy and bone and curio casting. This set of captivating and original watercolour and ink artwork symbols act as a bridge between the worlds of the seen and the unseen, providing you the vital creative tools needed to access personal, hidden truths and shadow work, as well as to gain access to information and traditional knowledge from the spirit realm. Find your path to internal illumination and commune with the divine inside and out. This deck comes in a clasp closing or a magnet closing box. Okay, it is nice and sturdy, and on the inside you can read more about Monica, who has quite an amazing history, and one that I mean to say she would be one of the most interesting people to actually be able to speak to. She really would. Now, let's look at the book. The book is quite a chunky little book. It's not that little either, you know, it's a nice size book. We've no blurb on the back because that's what's on the box. We have our usual title page, introduction. There's a lovely, lovely piece here to her husband, to Alan, the love of my life, who is always supportive and cheers me on. I could not do this work without you, which I think is lovely. And then we go into contents, forewords, preface, etc., etc. Monica then gives us an introduction to the casting of the bones and collecting items for a bone casting or curio casting set. She talks about art and spirituality and magic, and then her research, which is lovely to see, you know, because this isn't just something that she's plucked out of thin air. This is something that Monica practices, that Monica has researched, and that Monica is using her knowledge and her understanding of all this and sharing it with us, which gives us yet more tools to use when it comes to our own divinatory practices, or even our practices when it comes to ancestral work, etc. Monica then goes on to storytelling, which is a big thing because each card description in the book comes with a narrative, which is lovely to see and to read, because straight away that narrative gives you an understanding as to how this card is read. Now, I don't have these in numerical order because I have been using them quite a lot. For instance, if the first card is the Raven. Okay, now with the Raven, we get the clue words, which is seeker stroke messenger. And then we get the story. So the story with this is called The Visitor. And this takes us into how this card is used. Monica then tells us about the item that's on the card. So the image of the raven is an item, whether it's a bead, whether it's a little trinket, whether it's a charm. It's an item that Monica has in her collection, and she describes that to us and where she got it from and how it came to be part of her curio set. Then we get a little message. So for the raven, we would have, there are spiritual signs in your environment that hold deep meanings. Following that, you get a word of advice. Note, the raven card can be used to represent you or a seeker, as well as act independently as a symbol with the advice below, depending on how you use it in your reading style. So it's all down to us, how we see those symbols. Our own personal understanding of those symbols pre having this deck would also be knowledge and understanding that you could add to your reading. And here's the card very close to the top of the raven, okay? So that's the actual card. Those are the backs on the card. And I have to say they're nice, sturdy little cards, poker-sized and easy to use. And it's great because you can actually do quite a large spread. And because the cards are small, you're not having to move everything and clear the decks, you know? Following the word of advice, we then get an upright and a reversal meaning. So not unlike tarot, this has both an upright and a reversed meaning. Now, if you prefer not to read reversals, as in not to have reversals appear in your deck, that's fine. But when you're doing that, my advice to you would be to look at both the upright and the reversed meanings so that you're getting the overall meaning of that card. And if you are in a situation where you understand, well, you know, the situation's been quite iffy and suddenly it can't be all roses and light just because you're reading the wrong part of the card. Maybe that was meant to be reversed. But then you read them both and you can get an even deeper understanding of that card. Monica has then gone on and given us points to reflect on. So there are questions that you can write the answers down to in a journal and journal your work with this deck. I do feel that journaling is a very enriching practice. I find it therapeutic, but equally I find that when I'm sitting writing, and if I'm studying a card, now for this deck, it's only natural that we're going to need to refer to the book because the creator's contribution and hard work that has gone in to explaining every aspect of the cards is the respect alone. It's not just a case of intuitively going, oh right, there's a raven there. Sometimes people see ravens as doom and gloom. Hell man, everyone's going to pass away in your home. You know, what good would that do? You know, so having the respect for the creator and the respect for the deck, it's lovely to actually read about the card you're looking at and make notes on it. Add your own understanding and your own intuitive feeling and look at the points of reflection, answer those questions, and you will see that you get a much deeper understanding of the card. I actually was sort of, you know, going back sometime when, journaling, after all my years of teaching and journaling and note-taking, and did I want to go back to that? I do enjoy journaling. I have always been somebody that's been quite organised when it comes to my notes. I have books, something similar to this, and over here lying around the house that I pick up and I just carry on. Sometimes I can get books, I wrote that bit in there. Sometimes my rough journals are a little on the disorganised side to another person's eye, but for me it's an unorganised mess, and it's not an organised mess. To others it might seem an unorganised mess. To me it's unorganised organisation, if you can understand what I mean. But then I have my serious journals where if I'm working on a project, I take the notes that I have created from my different journals and compile them in a journal that is solely related to that particular project at the time. So this deck here is going to be one that I will journal on in a looser sense, not as a project, but as points for me to get to understand this deck, to get to know a little bit more about myself. but also to use with other projects that I have going on at the moment. And I have actually taken that step. I have been using this to coincide with my ancestral grimoire project that I have going on at the moment, and I'm working on the section of spring before I make the next video for that season, and I've got a little bit compiled together for that video, and this deck will be highlighted in that. So let's look further. We've got all the information about the cards. Each card has, like I said, it's got your narrative. It tells you about the item. It gives you a message. It gives you a word of advice. Then it gives you the upright and reversed meaning, and then your points to reflect on. When you get further back to the back of the book, it gives you a piece on how to use the cards. What I really liked about this, we all have our own little rituals that we perform before doing a reading, before taking out our work. Mine is to always have a lit candle on the table. I just feel that many people do that. And I also have a lot of little tea lights out and about. That's just me. When I come into this room, everything gets lit up, and then I might do a meditation. I always take half an hour before I'm doing a reading for a client, because that way I just take myself into the zone, so to speak. There are people that say, you know, rituals are not for me. That's also good. There is no right or wrong way. But in this, Monica has given us a ritual of, you know, having your reading cloth, having your candle lit, making sure your reading area is tidy, free of clutter, that there's no negativity hanging around the place, giving the place a good old cleanse, having your altar lights lit, etc., etc., which I thought was lovely. She's sharing her practice with us. And that comes under the spiritual hygiene, you know, opening and closing doors, keeping your surface clean, turning the cards, shuffling, questions and clarity. Monica goes on to give us a few helpful card combinations. So, you know, there are questions asked and cards that are used to explain an answer. Timing correspondences. Then we've got weekly timings and seasons. The weather can add to a reading. If you read the weather, a lot of people don't. I don't use the weather in my readings, I've got to be honest, because A, I don't know enough about it, and B, I just think if I'm going down that route, I've got so much in my head, and you know, I'm getting that little bit older, and trying to retain everything is not always easy. And astrological signs, how would you use astrological signs? So you've got your sign, the date, the energy and the planet that comes with it. You can absolutely pull on everything. Another thing I do like is that Monica suggested if you do charm read, if you cast charms yourself, when you've got your cards spread out in the reading, if you want to add depth to it or a little bit more, you know, information, cast the charms you'd use over the cards. But it's advised to do that once you've become familiar with these cards. And then we go to keeping a journal and discovering patterns. That's very true. You just do discover patterns. Then we get to the spreads. Now, the spread that I have used in this with this deck, I've used the sort of the Between the Worlds spread, which is Wisdom of the Ancestors. It's a 3-card past, present and future, and it's asking your ancestors to come through and talk to you through this amazing little deck. I have used that, I've journaled about it, and that is, I've taken photographs of it, printed it off, and they're going into my ancestral grimoire. I have also used, now there are some really big spreads in this which I'm looking forward to doing, but I have used this next one, which was the past, present and future, a 9-card past, present and future. Now you've got 2 9-card spreads. There's the mystical 9-card layout, and then there's the past, present and future. And the mystical 9-card layout, you read 1 to 3. It was the actual, sorry, it wasn't the past, present and future, it was the mystical 9-card layout I did. So it's numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you read 1 to 3 as a group, 4 to 6 as a group, and 7 to 9 as a group. You also look at cards that surround each card to see the impact that they can have on each other. So particularly the central card is surrounded by virtually everything, but predominantly the top, bottom and the 2 sides. You can also use the diagonal cards, and that will indicate if it might seem to you to be what could be considered slightly negative, will the outcome be as severe as that card might indicate? Well, it depends what's around it. If you've got positive cards around it, no, this might just be a hiccup that you need to keep an eye out for, you know. You then have your past, present and future, and those are read down the way you read your columns, okay? And you have the relationship spread, path to success, and then at the back of the book you have references and contact information and a conclusion. So that is quite a little, it's a little book, but it packs a punch. There's a lot of information in that, and it's information that is valuable to learning about, understanding and reading with the Between the Worlds Oracle deck. So let's have a look at the cards. Like I say, they're not in numerical order. By the way, talking of numerical, you can bring number into it, numerology. So we have doll's leg, heart, amber necklace, and I love amber full stop because, you know, it's that gum off the trees and it can potentially carry the DNA of insects that might have chowed down on a dinosaur, you know. It carries so much history. Ring. And that was upside down, actually. There you go, ring. I got that reversed in a reading the other day. Rabbit bone. Turtle. Bird bone. Pen tip. For all you writers out there, you can fire in a pen tip into your charms, into your curios. Doll's arm. Staurolite. Now, some of these things I would have to look up because I'm not sure what staurolite is. I'm not going to lie. Jawbone. Wishbone. Compass. Car. Ravenclaw. Acorn. Fulgurite. Now, I got this in a reading the other day, fulgurite, and it's a little bit like our tower card if I've read it correctly, but I had to look up what fulgurite was. And I went and looked it up only to realise Monica had written all about this. And it's when lightning strikes the sand and it leaves like a solid tube-like substance or rock or stone created by lightning striking sand. I was very, very impressed by that. Bear claw. So you can understand why fulgurite would be like the tower, because it comes from the strike of a lightning. So it's change, you know. Coyote tooth. A tulip shell. Cat. Hagstone. Find a lot of these on Wexford beaches here around Ireland, particularly Hook Head. A bound person. Cat bone. A thimble. Gold coin. Oak wood. Ladder. Horseshoe. Devil head. Wolf knuckle. A vertebrae. Doll's head. Sundial shell. Long bone. Short bone. Atlas bone. Skull. Now this one made me think, ooh, that's different. A coffin nail. Now, had I found that in my garden, which Monica did, she found it in her garden, had I found this in my garden, I would never have known that that was a coffin nail. And then the morbid mare in me would be taking a shovel and digging deep to find out where the rest of the coffin was. Antique coin. Button. Bell. Beaver tooth. A key. Quartz point. And then the one we met at the very beginning, the Raven. So folks, this is the Between the Worlds Shadow Casting with Bone and Curio Oracle deck, and it is created by Monica Bodirsky. Thank you very much for this, Monica. If you ever see this, love it. Thank you so much. And everybody, thanks once again for watching, and I will see you soon because I want to start the spring video of the Ancestral Grimoire. So I'll see you then. In the meantime, take care, happy out, be kind, and it'll all come back to you. Bye now.